Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is doing great today. How are you all? Awesome, awesome. My name is Leroy Kennedy. I'm the sabbatical music director here at UUCA and want to welcome you here in the building as well as those of you who are joining us online on this morning. We're so glad to have each and every one of you. We ask that you at home find a place where you can be present. Light your chalice at home. Close your eyes doing meditation and join in the singing of the hymns with all of us. And with that, can we join together and stand and let's sing our opening hymn, number 109, as we come marching, marching. As we come, we marching, marching in the beauty of the day. A million darkened kitchens, 1,000 workshops gray are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing bread and roses, bread and roses. As we come marching, marching, we battle too for men, for they are women's children, and we mother them again. Our life shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies. Give us roses, give us roses. As we come marching, marching, unnumbered women dead go crying through our singing their ancient song of bread. Small art and love and beauty, their drudging spirits knew. Yes, it is bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too. As we come marching, marching, we bring the greater days. The rising of the women means the rising of the race. No more the drudge and idler, then can where one reposes, but a sharing of life's glories, bread and roses, bread and roses.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Reverend Jonathan Rogers, and I am so grateful to be in worship with y'all this morning. I'm grateful because Sunday morning in UU community, in spiritual celebration with our people, is the time when I feel best about the world. There's so much to feel sad and angry about today and this week. The vibes feel not great. If that river of slime from Ghostbusters 2 were real, the psychomagnetheric slime, as they call it, the mood slime that feeds off of people's emotional energy, if that were real, it feels like it would be rancidly overflowing the sewer systems of all the towns and cities right now. And when the vibes are bad, there's one steady, reliable, faithful way, I know, to muster courage and spiritual energy, and that's gathering together with an active, dedicated, loving faith community. It's all happening here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta, where we are transforming lives through courageous action and soulful connection. Your queer self, your creative self, your skeptical self, your critically thinking self, your whole self is welcome here, where we are all working on ourselves. Welcome home.
Good morning. I'm Tracy Gagne, one of your lay ministers, and I'm glad to be here with you this morning for worship. Grow in wonder with religious education programs. Registration is now open for children and youth from nursery through 12th grade. Starting in our new building, we'll be offering Soulful Start, an hour of religious education programming for all ages, including adults from 10 to 11 each Sunday. Then children in nursery through 3rd grade have an additional hour of programming available from 11 to noon. Transform with us next year. As we continue building the way to our new campus, UUCA staff will be spending the month of July focusing on creating the community of our dreams. Our congregants and neighboring communities have generously organized pop-up events to keep us connected and living our values through the summer. Check out the schedule in your weekly update and at the link below, and watch out for updates each week in our newsletter. Save the date. Sunday, September 18th will be our grand opening and home blessing celebration on our new North Druid Hills campus. A full schedule of fun, reverence, and reflection will be shared on our website and in the weekly update later this summer. Through the live chat, we can express love and care for each other. Please take a moment to say hello to each other and anyone else who may be visiting during this morning's worship. And we'll do the same right here. Come on and say hello. Oh man, it is good to be together today. Let us say our chalice lighting words together. May the light of this flame
illuminate our tradition of seeking, invite all who yearn for acceptance, and ignite our passion for justice and peace.
I see eyes, trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark of night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Leroy. So I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit and join me in this morning's movement prayer. First, we bow to honor the spirit of life. We lift our arms and embrace the gifts of spirit. We bring these gifts unto ourselves with gratitude and breathe and smile. Share these gifts with the world. We remember to be present, honor, embrace, gratitude, share, be present. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn
I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
Let us put hands on hearts, feel the warm connection. Let love in this moment flow. Say to yourself silently, I will love myself. I will love others. And that love will heal the world. At this time, we hear the joys and sorrows of this congregation. Our hearts go out to our hundreds of unhoused neighbors in the Atlanta forest, being arrested and displaced by the construction of Cop City. You are invited to say the names of people you are holding in your heart this morning. Speak their names into this holy space now. May all beings find connection. May all people find comfort. May all of us find ways to be more loving to one another. As humans have gathered for millennia, so we gather on this day to gently surrender to something beyond ourselves, to humbly acknowledge our mistakes, to ask forgiveness, to seek hope and renewal, to honor the earth that supports and sustains life, to remember that all beings are all inextricably and mysteriously connected. Now we still our bodies and we still our minds. We take in a big breath and then we exhale. We relax into this space that our intentions make sacred. We enter into the wise silence.
once upon a time, there was a family. Maybe this family had not quite enough to eat, or maybe they had just about enough, or perhaps maybe they had more than enough. You might not have been able to tell. They might not have been able to tell. Sometimes it's hard to tell if you have enough or not. It's hard to not want more or different things than you already have. In any case, this family came together one spring day for a celebration, a feast. They gathered around a table. There was food, there was drink, there were flowers to remind them of beauty. And then there was a call from the gate outside the door. "Hello, we're hungry and thirsty, and we see you have a feast. May we come in?" Well, the family didn't know at first how to answer. Who were these people at the gate? Was it safe to let these people in? Did they have enough to share? Was there room? But they remembered. They remembered that most of them had come to this family, to this celebration from someplace else. They remembered that even they, who were at the table, had not always been kind to each other. There had been times when they hurt each other. There were still times when they made each other sad or angry or afraid. There is no way to make life completely safe. They remembered times when others had shared with them, even when the others might not have had quite enough of their own. They remembered when each new member of the family had been born or come to stay or married in. They remembered that they always found a way to make room. And they remembered an old saying: when you have more than you need, it is better to build a longer table than to build a higher fence. "We have enough," they said. "We might have more than enough. We are many and strong, and we can hold a safe space here in our home for all who come." And so they went out of their door to the gate in the fence. They opened the gate. They invited the people who were there in. Inside, they pulled out another table and made space for these newcomers. They covered it with a cloth, and the newcomers set upon it a dish full of something fragrant and delicious, which was strange and wonderful to the family. Everybody shared, and there was enough. I want us to notice that we only heard one part of that story. We heard the story of the people who were in the family in the house ready to feast. We didn't hear the story of the people at the gate wanting to come in. We don't know who they are or why they are there or what they bring to the table other than the strange and wonderful food. So remember, there is enough food on our planet for everyone. If some people are going hungry, ask why the food isn't getting to them. We have enough to feed ourselves and each other if we stick together and trust one another.
Even as we grow enough food to feed everyone on the planet, there are many people who are hungry, globally and locally. There are many reasons for this complex issue. When I consider this, I think of 3 UU principles in particular. The first principle reminds us of the inherent worth and dignity of all persons, which is jeopardized when people aren't getting the food that they need. The second principle reminds us to have justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Finally, the seventh principle reminds us to be respectful of the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Together, these principles give us a starting point and direction for how UUs can engage in ethical eating and food justice. On the UUA website, you can find an article about ending factory farming, as well as resources for ethical eating, even in restaurants. There are lots of resources there. As vegans, my family and I hold this issue close to our hearts. We are involved in food justice efforts to ensure that everybody has access to nutritious and affordable food. We are proud to be members of a spiritual community that upholds the above principles and seeks to find solutions to an issue that affects all living beings on this planet, not just humans. At UUCA, we know that our behaviors, as we live according to UU principles, can make a big difference in this global issue. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us is only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there are no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world could be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join
And now, please join me in the dedication of the offering to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action we call community. We dedicate our lives and these our offerings.
Our reading this morning is entitled Beyond the Zero-Sum Game and is excerpted from the book Exercising Preaching by Reverend Nathan C. Walker. For centuries, insiders have been democratizing their religions. Incremental moments of institutional reform have led to a new era of theological enlightenment. From out of ancient times into the twilight of now, these reformers have made a sacred vow to never mischaracterize freedom as a zero-sum game. True freedom is not jealous. True freedom is not envious. True freedom is not spiteful. True freedom does not desire to restrict the rights of others. True freedom knows not a selfish thought, knows not how to threaten. To sense true freedom is to know that your win is my glory, and your suffering is inextricably tied to my own. For the sum of all that is holy shines far beyond the tools of our evolving democracy, from party jingles to picket signs. The sum of all that is holy is found in our collective desire to know freedom, not as a political slogan, but as a way of life.
Well, here we are at the beginning of summer, the time of year when school teachers across the country are wheeling in TVs on roller carts to show VHS tapes for the last few days of class. Unfortunately, UUCA lost its roller cart, so they invited me to preach instead. I'm truly honored to get and speak one final time at the Treehouse because in the long run, this location will have marked a special time in UUCA's history. The next chapter in this congregation's history is approaching as you navigate the inevitable hiccups of moving into a new building next month. Just remember that for the first 2 summers of worship services held at UUCA's previous building on Cliff Valley Way, there was no air conditioning. Definitely going to be a big step up this time. The way that UUCA's spirit has shown through during these years in the Treehouse reminds me of a philodendron plant I purchased several years ago. That plant has been repotted multiple times and now decorates a large portion of the windows in my upstairs hallway. It's pretty intertwined with the window elements there at this point. It's not going anywhere for a while. But I've taken many cuttings from it, and the plants I've propagated off of it now populate all the sunny windows in my house, and several more have been given away as presents. UUCA today continues an over 140-year legacy of universalism and Unitarianism in Atlanta. Yes, I say universalism first because the Universalists were here first. UUCA continues that centuries-long legacy and at the same time has given life to many affiliated congregations throughout the Atlanta area. Directly or indirectly, Northwest, Emerson, and Gwinnett UU congregations were created by folks from UUCA. And of course, y'all have provided substantial assistance to Abundant Love, a church plant in Atlanta's West End, near and dear to my heart. Just like my philodendron plant, this congregation continues to sprout new leaves and deepen its roots, even as it makes life possible for new plants in other places. Perhaps the way in which this congregation and this faith tradition most resembles that philodendron is the way in which they each consistently and relentlessly reach for the light. Each Sunday morning, UUCA lights a chalice flame symbolizing the illumination of its seeking for truth and ignition of passion for justice and peace. And y'all, we are in the midst of some dark and confusing times. A community of seekers and igniters is what the world needs now more than ever. So today I wanted to turn to someone whose music I first encountered in seeking and searching for community and inspiration and ignition back in 2008. The inspiration for this morning's sermon comes from a song by Kanan, a Somali-Canadian poet and rapper. You may have heard his song, Wavin' Flag, which was the anthem of the 2010 World Cup. Mother Jones describes that his music, quote, sounds a little like Eminem's if Slim Shady had spent his childhood dodging bullets in Somalia's civil war. So, Kanan was born in Mogadishu, and when chaos overtook his city, his mother bought a plane ticket for him to depart on the last commercial flight out of there. She did not have enough money for his cousin, however, who was later lost in the Somali Civil War. Kanan references him in the lyrics to his song, People Like Me. Here are the words to that verse. I guess I told you about people like me just by telling you about myself to a degree. But people like me, they speak politely. They don't start no beef for a piece of white meat. Everybody gotta eat, but everybody doesn't, which is why I want to tell you about my favorite cousin. He and I grew up where the sun shines, and we both partook in the gun crimes, and we both liked American rap rhymes, even though we didn't understand one line. If you remember my liner notes in my last album, I talked about a close call with a grenade. I think we must have both been 7th grade, but don't panic. We survived without damage, but we developed a bond like we survived the Titanic. So when the country became frantic, my mother tried to get us out, planned it to the last detail, except the plan got derailed because there wasn't enough money for the plane tickets. How bitter when my mother had to choose who to take with her. So my cousin got left in the war, and that's just hard to record. But now I take refuge in prayer, kind of like finding God in the phone book. It came to me sounding something like a song hook. Heaven, is there a chance you could come down and open doors to hurting people like me? People like me, yeah, people like me. What a universalist message. We know that we could be the citizen or the refugee. We could be the refugee or the cousin who was left behind. Believing in the universality of the human experience means empathy and compassion, because for those in dire straits, we know with just a simple change in fate, that could be us. The roots of our tradition are sometimes described as Unitarianism, meaning that we humans all have one source, and Universalism, meaning that we all have one destination. Humans sharing one source and one destination, that's what we believe. Collective liberation. All of our fates tied up together, none of us free until all of us are free. And there are few freedoms more fundamental than the freedom from war, drought, famine, and hunger. Canaan grew up in a Somalia torn by a civil war, drought, and famine, and can speak to the ill effects of hunger. He can put his whole heart and soul into asking, Heaven, is there a chance you could come down and open doors to hurting people like me? The Somali Civil War is unfortunately an ongoing conflict. We can trace its roots back to 1986, 1991, 2006, or 2009, depending on which aspect of it you want to focus on. War, drought, and famine have plagued the country for more than 3 decades. Al Jazeera reported in 2012 that Mogadishu, quote, has become the epicenter of the world's worst humanitarian crisis. While new arrivals say that conditions in the capital are better than elsewhere in the country, they are atrocious by any other measure. Last month, the United States invaded Somalia for the 3rd time in the last 30 years. The American track record for foreign intervention suggests we will only worsen conditions in the country. Our military routinely worsens conditions in famine-stricken areas by destroying food production infrastructure and enforcing deprivational sanctions. It makes me wish the U.S. military would stick to what it does best, which is funding Top Gun and Marvel movies. War and famine are ultimately problems of collective will, ones that we as humans have control over. Just as invasions are foreign policy choices, starvation and malnutrition are the results of allocation decisions. The World Economic Forum estimates that at the high end, the maximum it would take would be 0.3% of global GDP each year to solve world hunger. and to solve it in a sustainable manner that simultaneously builds a lasting nutrition delivery infrastructure. Any of a number of individual members of the billionaire class could fund a cessation of hunger, but they choose not to. Humans empirically produce more than enough calories in any given year to feed everyone on the planet a healthy and sufficient diet. The wealthy elites' own institutions have explicitly acknowledged this. We could even potentially produce those calories in a carbon-neutral way. But those in power make decisions that lead to malnutrition and starvation and continued global warming. I'd sure like to give a billionaire a piece of my mind, but I can't afford a charter to where they hang out on Little St. James. The solutions to these problems of collective will shall come as they always have and always must, from the courage and solidarity of collective movements, from communities bound in common commitment and heritage to undergo the slow process of growing roots, spreading vines, and propagating across many settings. As Kanon says in another of his songs, Wavin' Flag, try to control us, they couldn't hold us because we just move forward like buffalo soldiers. So we patiently wait for that fateful day. It's not far away, but for now we say, when I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. I personally have a hard time even thinking about starvation and malnutrition because hunger is one of my most powerful migraine triggers. The thought of being chronically hungry is more than I can confront. But the agony of contemplating hunger is balanced by the ecstasy of sufficiency for all the world's people. I know such sufficiency is possible in our world. Heaven, is there a chance that you could come down and open doors to hurting people like me? Building beloved communities committed to collectively acting for a more just and equitable world is literally bringing heaven to this plane. And we cannot build those spaces of courage and solidarity without also imbuing them with enjoyment and creativity. And so this summer, in the midst of thinking about these seemingly impossible challenges we face in order to bring about heaven on this plane, I'm also taking time to savor what brings joy to my life and to my community. I'm going to go home this afternoon and pick a sun-drop cherry tomato from my garden. I already chose one mentally on my way home, on my way here this morning. It's from the corner plant in my garden bed that gets the most sunlight. I'm going to pick two, one for my wife and myself, and I'm going to wash off the capsaicin spray that I use to keep away the squirrels. And I'm going to feel the sun-warmed burst of sweet fruit as I bite into it. And then I'm going to listen to my favorite Dungeons and Dragons podcast as I walk the dogs and pick out a Nora Ephron comedy for us to watch tonight. I'm going to enjoy time with my family and my congregation, because for me, that's what it takes to build the spiritual energy to face the world with the courage and solidarity that my faith asks from me. The way forward is unclear and the stakes are very high. And at such times, I turn to another of my favorite poems entitled Yes, by Andrea James. This is for the times you went through hell so someone else wouldn't have to, for the time you taught a 14-year-old girl she was powerful. This is for the time you taught a 14-year-old boy he was beautiful, for the radical anarchist asking a Republican to dance, because what's the chance of everyone moving from no to yes if the only moves they see are from NBC and CBS? This is for the scars becoming breath, for saying I love you to people who will never say it to us, for scraping away the rust and remembering how to shine, for the dime you gave away when you didn't have a penny, for the many beautiful things we do, for every song we've ever sung, for refusing to believe in miracles, because miracles are the impossible coming true and everything is possible. This is for the possibility that guides us and for the possibilities still waiting to sing and spread their wings inside us, because tonight Saturn is on his knees proposing with all his 10,000 rings that whatever song we've been singing, we sing even more. The world needs us right now more than it ever has before. Pull all your strings. Play every chord. If you're writing letters to the prisoners, start tearing down the bars. If you're handing out flashlights in the dark, start handing out stars. Never go a second hushing the percussion of your heart. The world needs us now more than it ever has before. It needs us to build courage and solidarity and to weave enjoyment and love into all that we do and to all who we are. Let us be the ones who are willing to go through hell so someone else doesn't have to, the ones who gave away a dime to the hungry when we didn't have a penny, who never go a second hushing the percussion of our hearts because we want heaven to come down and open its doors to hurting people like us, people like you, people like me. May it be so, and may we be the ones to make it so.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Jonathan, Reverend Jonathan, for that inspiring message. Can we all stand together now? Let's join in singing our closing hymn, number 347, Gather the Spirit. Gather the Spirit, harvest the bar. All separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. How trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate one compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit, growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Go in peace.
That was when before I realized you had to add a stitch at the end of the row. And so then I
I can change the world with my own two hands, make it a better place with my own two hands, make it a kinder place with my own two hands, with my own two hands. I can make peace on earth with my own two hands. I can clean up the earth with my own two hands. so brilliantly raining down over you and me. Have you ever wanted more? Wanted more? You've got to keep your mind wide open, all the possibilities. You've got to live with your eyes open, believe in what you see. Think of all the days you've wasted, worrying, wondering, hopelessly hoping. Think of all the time ahead. Don't hesitate, contemplate. No, it's not too late. Have you ever wanted more? Don't you know there's so much more? You've got to keep your mind wide open, all the possibilities. You've got to live with your eyes open, believe in what you see. Tomorrow's horizons full of surprises. Don't let them take your dreams away. You've got to keep your mind wide open, all the possibilities. You've got to live with your eyes open, believe in what you see. You've got to keep your mind wide open, all the possibilities. You've got to live with your eyes open, believe in what you see. Your mind wide open, believe in what you see. Your eyes open, believe in what you see. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, getting stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free.
We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need.
Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, the world would die. Peace and freedom is our cry. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, getting stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, getting stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are building